Okay, so just for everyone's information, we're now live. We're live streaming on our our session. And can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So what I have here is the link I shared with you in the chat box. What is the objective of this map? The objective of this UMap map is to highlight the infrastructure or bike-related facilities in the Cebu area, not just Mandaue. Kasi ano to, I started this when I was trying to get SBLB, the Cebu Bike Lanes Board, interested. But since naunang mag-express ng interest yung Mandaue, ang makikita natin dito karamihan will be the Mandaue data. So how do you use this map? On the left part of your map, you will see the typical controls available for mapping, zooming in, zooming out, searching for places, or for example, maximizing your screen. But the most important data sets available on this map are found in the layers. So if you click on data layers, there will be more data that can be visualized for this map. So for example, if I click on pilot segment, this will display the road segment in Cebu City that was used as a pilot area for the purpose of showcasing to the Cebu Bike Lanes Board what can happen if you say collect imagery and start adding data to OpenStreetMap. But since we're not focusing on Cebu City, we'll just hide the pilot segment layer and scroll further down and look for the Mandaue related datasets. So for example, I want to see the whole network of cycleways for Mandaue based on the maps available from your website plus the data that was shared with us nung ni-request namin from CPDO. Has it been a month ago? So about a month ago. So if you enable that, it will show, okay, this will take a few minutes yan, to show all the roads that has been identified to be part of the Mandaue Cycling Network. So paano yan ginagawa? Paano natin yan kinukuha from OpenStreetMap? Creating a UMap document uses Overpass Turbo. Hindi pa natin na-discuss yun. But basically, Overpass Turbo is a querying tool to extract specific information from OpenStreetMap and display it on UMap. So in this case, basically what we did was ask OpenStreetMap data what roads are considered part of the network in Mandaue. But these roads are not necessarily has been added any cycleway tags kasi hindi pa tayo tapos sa Mandaue. So ang ginawa lang dito, before we started, I created a relation. A relation in OpenStreetMap is a collection of elements. So in case you forgot, the elements are yung way, yung mga line na dinodrawing natin, or individual points or nodes, and then put them together and it creates a logical set of data. So in this case, yung logical set ay all the roads that has been identified as part of the cycleways. So if I hide the Mandaue cycleways layer and proceed on, say, looking at the other the faces of cycleways available in Cebu, the names are temporary. Yun lang yung nakikita ko dun sa map ninyo, so ginamit ko lang. So for example, route number 2 or yung tinawag yung core dun sa dataset ninyo are only these roads. no? If I say I want to see route number 1, yung una yung nilistang route, it will show the route along AS Fortuna, and the street is, what's this? El Jaime, going to the city core. Tapos, route number 3 will be the cycling route in the reclamation area. And then finally, the cycling route along Owano Avenue. So where's Owano? There. Ayan. So if we put all these cycle routes together, yung kunyari gusto nyo lang ipakita agad yung buong cycle route ng Mandaue, you just click on the Cebu bike lanes layer para makita siya by itself. So were you able to, would you like to try it out yourself first before we proceed any further?
Sir, we're doing it now.
Okay, good. So do you have any questions?
So far, wala naman po. Pinalabas lang namin dito sa UMAP yung Mandaue routes. 4 po, the routes. Tama
Okay.
po ba?
Yes.
So,
4 lang naman yung nandyan. Yeah.
Ito yung naka-display ngayon sa screen po namin.
Yan. So yan, pwede nyo gamitin for presentation. Kasi di ba sa totoo lang, yung mapa na available natin sa OpenStreetMap are too informative. Masyadong maraming ibang information na nandoon. So ang objective natin in using UMap is to focus on the data that you want to present on or discuss. Parang doon lang yung attention ng tao. Kaya nung una yung buksan yung map, sabi nyo, walang nakikita, plain layer lang. Tapos, if you want to change how the map looks like, so instead of clicking on the data layer like I did, you can click on this arrow button for more controls, then select the map background, and then from the map background, you can change how your map looks like. I usually like to present a map with a simple map like this because often I don't want the users or the participants to get distracted. But if I'm looking for details that I want to share, so instead of this, I think this is OSM Piano, pwede kong gamitin yung Cyclo OSM. I think you guys have been using this, yung cycle-specific na layer na available for OpenStreetMap. So makikita nyo pa rin yung information na gusto kong share. But at the same time, makikita nyo yung iba pang data na hindi related to Mandaue, which we're talking about today. So makikita natin dito yung bike routes ng Cebu or bike network ng Cebu. Tapos, nasan yung mga bike shops, etc. These are the elements being shown on this particular layer are cycling related, no? Tapos, for example, narinig ko some weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago, Cordova also started their installed their cycle lanes. Ang problema, hindi ko alam yung sinasabi nilang Centennial Avenue until a few days ago, I found a YouTube video na nag-video siya from their place in Cebu City until Cordova, and then I found out that this is Centennial Avenue. So ito yung cycle lane pa lang ng Municipality of Cordova. So in Region 7, as far as I can tell, all these blue highways na naka-highlight, no, except for the water ferry routes, are either cycleways that are already existing or planned for implementation. Any questions so far?
Okay lang po, okay lang.
Okay. So that's it. Ang challenge natin dito ngayon, if you want to make use of the information we have, pag mag-zoom in kayo sa Mandaue map, no? Mapapansin ninyo, okay, for example, you guys have the same map I'm looking at. I want you to look at the highway segment between Hernan Cortez and MC Briones and tell me what's different between that blue line and the other cycle lane networks in Mandaue. Could you detect that?
Hello, sir. Hernan
Yes.
Cortez and MC
Yes,
Briones
between
po.
Hernan Cortez and MC Briones. Ano yung napapansin niyo sa mapa?
Saan po ba? Can you point
Yung,
it out?
sorry, I want you to look at AS Fortuna Avenue between Hernan Cortez and MC Briones.
AS Fortuna.
Yes. Tama ba yung
Any?
pangalan natin sa OpenStreetMap? Is that AS Fortuna?
Yes, sir. Yeah, AS Fortuna.
So, kung mapapansin ninyo, observe nyo muna kung ano, baka mapansin nyo na rin. And I want you to share with us kung why you think the map is rendered that way.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Kasi medyo choppy po.
Medyo choppy. Okay. Parang may extra noise. I don't know where that's coming from.
Dito sa amin, wala naman po.
Oh, okay. Weird. Sandali lang ha. Let me check. Sige, i-check nyo muna yung mapa for now.
Yes, sir. We're looking at it now.
Sige.
May segment po na putol.
Okay.
Bali, ang dulo lang ng AS Fortuna merong bike lane. But from this MC Briones until the Hernan Cortez Crossing, wala po. Walang bike lane.
Mm-hmm. Wala pa yan sa ano, wala, pero nasa plano ba yan?
Yes, sir. And then, ano din po, yung AC Cortez
Yes.
Cortez na nasa ano lang, nasa right side lang yung bike lane niya, which is supposedly existing na po itong ano, both sides of the road merong bike lane.
Mm-hmm.
AC Cortez. Yeah, eto po.
Okay. So,
Pero sa ano, sa UMAP niyo po meron dalawa. But here sa
Cyclo
naka-cyclo, isa lang po.
Okay, ganito yan. The data that I'm presenting in OpenStreetMap only identifies the road but doesn't say anything about whether the cycleway tags has been added to the roads itself. So yung nangyari, okay, sorry, I'll switch to cycle OSM. Ayan, so sabi ninyo, yung AC Cortez Avenue going to MC Briones has the cycleway tags. Yung blue dashed na lines. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that has been added, but the opposite carriageway from MC Briones going to SB Cabahug, no? Hindi lang, hanggang saan ba yung bike lanes nyo? Abot ba ng Mactan Bridge?
Hindi po, sa may paanan lang ng ano, ng Mactan Bridge.
Okay.
Tama lang po yung broken lines na blue, but it's on both sides of the road. Yung bike lane.
So what happened here is that the road going to MC Briones, yung the one on the right, the one going to MC Briones has the correct cycleway tags. Pero yung kabila, hindi pa nagawa.
Okay.
So, ibig sabihin, hindi pa kayo nakapag-edit doon sa areas na yon.
Tsaka ano din
Okay?
po, yung MC Briones Street,
Mhm.
um, dalawa din po yung bike lanes on both sides of the road.
Yes.
Siguro hindi pa nagagawan.
Yes. Yun din yung gusto kong i-highlight. So, pag tumingin kayo sa cyclomap, tapos nakita nyo, oh, ba't ganun? May kulay blue doon sa road. Ang ibig sabihin lang nun, nilagay siya doon sa relation. No? Yung parang placeholder to say that these are all the roads that are part of the Mandaue Bicycle Lane Network. Pero yung cycleway tags represented by the blue dash lines, hindi pa nalalagay. So hindi pa tayo tapos from the corner of Manuel Quezon Avenue to AS Fortuna along MC Briones.
Okay, so.
Tapos, yung El Jaime Street ba? Meron na kayong infrastructure dyan? El Jaime sa Bakilid. Tama ba yun?
Yes. And also nga pala sir, sa yung Uano Avenue, dalawa yun, di ba?
Yes.
Dalawa din.
Tignan nga natin yung kung ano na yung itsura ng Uano. So sa Uano, ayan. Yung una yung ginawa sir, nalipat nyo na. So lumabas na yung dash lines. Hindi na siya yung solid na purple line before. Ibig sabihin, it's not a separate cycleway. Pero yung opposite road, hindi pa rin nagagawa. So we have to do that too. Okay?
Yes, sir. Doon pa rin sa ID editor, di po ba?
Yes, sir, sa ID editor. Since you have experience doing that, maybe you can ask your team kung sino yung available to do that and you can supervise them para ma-share na natin yung learnings natin.
Okay po.
Or whoever is available. Tapos, question, sa Logarta Avenue ba, is this part of the plan pero wala pang cycleway?
Yes, sir. It's part of the plan.
Okay. So, kung mapapansin niyo, all the roads with blue filling na kulay, ano yan, part ng planned network. Pero only those roads with dash lines na nadagdag nyo na will represent the areas where cycleways are in place, the infrastructure are in place.
Okay.
Okay? Okay.
Sige po.
Sige. So, any more questions before I start showing you how to edit si SB Kabahu? What is the correct tag to show your cycleway is on the left side of the road?
Sige po.
Any questions?
Nothing
so wala
more.
Nothing more. Okay, sandali lang ha, inom lang ako. Okay. So, pag may questions kayo about OpenStreetMap, at kunyari, hindi ako makasagot agad, ini-email ako ni Sir Eugene at hindi ako makasagot agad. The first resource that you might want to check out is called wiki.openstreetmap.org. Are you guys familiar with the Wikipedia? Gumagamit ba kayo ng Wikipedia?
Yes, sir. Sometimes.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes. Oh, okay, sometimes. So, ang objective ng Wikipedia, the technology, no? I'm talking about the technology, not the Wikipedia website, is to organize information so that other people can learn from it. At the same time, for example, if you have the opportunity to improve the information, pwede ka rin mag-edit. In Wikipedia, you need to sign up for an account. Tapos, kunyari, nakita ka na wrong spelling, pwede mo yun i-correct agad. So, the process is collaborative. That means the sharing of information doesn't come from one person. People can share their knowledge with other people by adding more information to existing pages. And that concept is similar to OpenStreetMap. Na kunyari, nakita niyo yung mapa na kulang yung pangalan ng kalsada or mali yung mali yung number of lanes, or wala yung cycleway tags, pero alam nyo na meron na. The regular people like us can be part of the process of improving the data so other people can benefit from it. So that aside, the wiki in OpenStreetMap, as you can see from my screen, is where all information about the tags, information about processes, information about how the community interacts with each other. This is where it's documented. So for example, hinahanap ko kunyari, bicycle lane. So on the right side of my screen, I'm just typing in bicycle lane sa search bar niya, and then I click on search. So it will show me this page called Cycleway and any applicable tag that I might be interested in that's related to that topic. So makikita niyo yun dito. We did go into the details of adding all the types of cycleways, no? Yung tinuro ko sa inyo was ano yung applicable for Mandaue agad. So yung maganda yung nangyari na along SB Cabahug, we have a unique tag that is required to correctly represent the information on the map. So ano yun? Normally kasi sa cycleways natin, whatever is the direction of the road, so in the Philippines, so nasa ano tayo, right-hand drive tayo. Usually nasa right. Pero sabi nyo, ang cycleway sa SB Cabahug ay nasa left para mas safe ang mga cyclist. So ngayon, ano yung gagamitin natin? So dito sa page na to, hinanap ko yung opposite. Cycleways equal to opposite, at binasa ko siya para malaman kung ano yung dapat na gamitin to correctly present the map. So actually, ang nakita kong tag ay ito, cycleway colon left equal to opposite lane. Ang ibig sabihin yan, sa OpenStreetMap, yung kalsada na one way, for example, ang posisyon ng cycleway ay wala sa right, kundi nandun sa left. At kung meron tayong ibang direction na kailangan idagdag, pwede natin gamitin tong mga ibang tags. So paano natin gagamitin tong cycleway is equal to opposite lane or cycleway left? First, we go to our OpenStreetMap editor. Well, first we go to OpenStreetMap. Ang shortcut niyan, osm.org. Ano pa rin yan, yung OpenStreetMap, para hindi lang marami akong i-type. And then we go to Mandaue. You can use the map to zoom in or not, or you can just search for Mandaue. So here we are, we're in Mandaue, and we're interested in editing. I'm not going to edit it. Hayaan ko kayong mag-edit ulit, but I'll show you how to do it. So this is the regular layer on OpenStreetMap. So hindi naka-highlight yung mga cycleway tags on the map. So what I'll do is go on layers, click on layers, and click Cyclo OSM. I am doing this because it's easier for me and perhaps for you to find the relevant information immediately. Hindi na niya pinapakita yung ibang information. But perhaps after we're done with learning how to map, tapos na tayo sa cycleways ng Mandaue, you might be interested in other features. You can switch to other layers. For example, maybe the transport map para i-map niyo yung ruta ng mga buses or jeeps in your town, in your city, or the rest of the region. So that's possible. But the principles are the same. The layers will only show a specific theme, except for the standard layer where almost everything is shown. So medyo magulo tong mapang ito, pero it could cause information overload for many people. So yan yun. So, I'll click again on Cyclo OSM para makita natin yung layer. Okay. If we're zooming in, okay, so, okay. So here we are, we're interested in editing SB Kabahu and to move the cycleway from the right to the left, no? Pero the direction of the travel is still going towards AC Cortez Avenue. So first, make sure that you're logged in. So I log in with my account. And then, since we're interested in editing just this portion of the road, just make sure that yun lang yung bukas sa screen ninyo. Otherwise, the ID editor will attempt to load the whole area. So, kunyari, ganyan kalayo yung zoom level nyo, yung buong area na yan ay masyadong malaki. Baka mabulunan yung computer ninyo. So, we'll just zoom in. Where are we? Here. SB Kabahog and start editing with the ID editor. As a review, ang naalala ko, tinuro ko sa inyo before, for example, you want to edit this road and you want to add a cycleway. What I told you before was you scroll down on your editing panel on the left and then, make sure that your fields are shown. When you scroll down, there is this add field option and just choose bicycle, bike lanes. So tanong is, bakit hindi nakikita minsan? Either the bike lanes are already added. Ayan, nandito na siya. Kung nandiyan na siya, hindi nyo na magdadagdag pa yung field. But if I delete that, so tinanggal ko yung bike lanes and then now I say bike lanes. Oh, oops. Lumabas. Okay. Well, actually what I want to show you is that kung halimbawa may gusto ko yung gawin at hindi nyo nakikita dito sa field options sa bikes, what you can do is manually add the tags dito sa tag section of the editor. Hindi na kayo magre-rely on adding it here. Instead, you're gonna manually add the tags on the tag section. So, for example, hello? Guys, can you hear me? Parang may biglang noise.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay. Parang lang may biglang umingay. So anyway, ang gusto nating edit na road ay that section from A del Rosario to AC Cortez. Nakalagay dito sa editor natin, I hope you're following it along in your computer kahit hindi kayo nag-edit. Nakalagay dito cycleway left lane. I think Sir Eugene, kayo nag-edit nito?
Yes po.
So ang tama yung idea ni Sir. Cycleway left, nasa left yung lane. But what we should have added is, I'll just show you the page in the wiki. Instead of lane, we should have said opposite lane. Kasi ang ibig sabihin ng cycleway lane is on the left, ay it is following the direction of travel of the road. So dito, ang ilalagay lang natin ay, nasaan na ba yung editor? So dito, cycleway left lane should be opposite lane. Yan lang yung correction na kailangan gawin para lumabas yung dash line natin sa left side ng kalsada based on the direction of the road we're editing. Okay, so I'm not going to save the changes I'm showing you. You guys can edit this when you have the time. Pero so far, yun lang naman yung uh, kailangan gawin for this particular road. Meron pa ba kayong ibang kalsada na ganito yung setup?
Wala na, sir.
Okay.
Meron. Ano pala? Itong A del Rosario.
Okay, ano ang nangyari sa A del Rosario?
Sa ibalin po pa ang kiling sa A del Rosario ba? Ang kanaiyahang bicycle lane, ibalin ba sa flat lane?
Ano ba? SB pa, di ba?
Ang dali sir ba, di ba? Diya sa may Jollibee Street. Naman ni sa sa may mga bus stop ang iyang bicycle lane. Ibalin ba sa Pikas?
Masig ibalin po.
Clarify lang po namin, Sir Erwin, kay Ma'am Cha, kung ililipat din ba itong A del Rosario.
Okay, sige. Kasi so far, meron ng mga photos from along A del Rosario mula from Gaisano Grand Mall. Ito, no?
Yes po.
Siya
Dito sa gilid.
Oo, nasa right pa siya. So kung kunyaring ilipat ninyo, yun lang yung papalitan natin na tag.
Okay po.
So may balak pala kayong magpalit ng mag-reconfigure ng bike lanes.
Opo, kasi yun nga po yung reason na baka madisgrasya yung biker kasi yung mga bus stop nandyan din sa right lane. Sa right side ng lane.
Yeah, nakita ko nga may isang bus stop dito sa, let me see. I think before this section of the road, tapat ng Gaisano, no? Parang may bus stop dyan.
Opo.
No? Tapos umiikot yung nakita ko yung video sa YouTube. Yung biker na nagbi-video, siya, umiwas pa siya dun sa bus. Hindi siya umiwas. Na lang siya, na parang na-delay kasi may mga bumababa na tao doon sa cycle lane. Okay, so far, are there any other questions?
Yun lang po, yung code. Tapos na po ba yun? Hello? Hello, sir? Putol. Hello, sir?
Mana to, sir?
Putol. Wala
Ano
pa,
to ang
naputol
code?
siguro.
Ang code ba?
Ano to?
Oo.
Okay, so nakuha ninyo yung code.
Cycle left equals opposite.
Sige lang,
Yeah.
anyway, recorded. Pwede rin na ito
Naman
ma-view
siya sa
balik.
wiki, basta
Okay. Naputol si Sir Erwin?
Mic test. Hello, mic
Yun.
test.
Yes,
Okay
sir.
na, sir? Okay, good. Sorry, nag-crash pala yung yung app. Buti hindi nagputol yung audio. So for the tag, yung code na nilalagay natin, it's cycleway : left or right, and then opposite lane if it doesn't follow the direction of the road. The regular cycleways that we use, that the tag that should be added is cycleway and then lane. No? Where do we add these codes or tags? When you go to your editor, can you guys still see my screen?
Hindi, sir. Not anymore.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So, can you guys see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, for the codes, you have to scroll down to the tag section and you add it on this table. So cycleway colon right or left, whichever is applicable. And then what kind of lane? Yung regular lanes, yung kung ang cycleway ay nasa right as to be expected, okay na yung lane. But if it's on the opposite side of the road, katulad nung balak ninyong gawin along Adel Rosario and the one you implemented along SB Cabajo, you can type in opposite lane. Okay? So, when you're starting, editing might seem more convenient if you use the field section. But once you are familiar with the tags that you want to use, mas mabilis mag-edit dito sa tag section. No? Kasi tatype nyo lang yung kailangan nyo, tapos mailalagay nyo na mailagay nyo na yung correct na tags na kailangan. So when you're done editing, you click save, you describe what kind of edit you made, and then click on upload. Is everyone good with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. In your chat box, I added a link to this page. I think na-share ko na to kay Sir Eugene, baka na-share na to sa inyo. But I want to go through this para maintindihan natin yung convention of cycleways in the Philippines. Have you seen the link? It's a hackmd.io page.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, the purpose of this page is to summarize some of the tags we use in OpenStreetMap that are relevant to bike users or mappers in the Philippines. Back in 2012, the DPWH already had implemented standard classification of cycleways. So we'll go through this and then I'm going to show you what tags are appropriate depending on the configuration of the cycleway. So what DPWH calls Class 1 bike paths, ganito yung itsura niya. The carriageway where the motor vehicles travel are separated from pedestrians, may sariling sidewalk, and a bike path. As far as I know, the only area in the Philippines which has this kind of configuration is a new road they're constructing in Davao City, yung Davao Coastal Road nila, na hiwalay talaga yung bike path. Kung ganun yung bike path na, kunyari, sa Mandaue, nag-implement kayo ng ganun, these are the basic tags that you're going to use. So yung ginawa ni Sir Eugene noon, yung highway is equal to cycleway, applicable na siya kung ganito ang configuration ng network nyo. As in physically, there's a geometry separate from the main road for bikers. Okay. In other countries, for example, Taiwan, most of their bike paths are actually shared between pedestrians and cyclists at walang separator like dito may hedge between them. Pero on the road itself, there are painted markings to tell them. So ang mangyayari kung katulad sa Taiwan, hindi nyo na kailangan mag-drawing ng separate na line to represent the sidewalk. Yung bike path, magiging yan siya, highway is equal to path, and then footway is equal to designated. Ibig sabihin may lugar para sa pedestrians, and then bicycle is equal to designated, meaning may tamang daanan din para sa mga cyclists. But since we don't have that, I'm just giving you an idea what you can do in case eventually have this. Ito pala yung example na sinasabi ko, shared use path, where cyclists and pedestrians share the same path but are still separate from the road itself. So yung highway, kung anumang klase yan, will have a different line And then the shared path will have this. Highway is equal to path. Segregated is equal to yes or maybe no, depende kung anong configuration nyo. Tapos kung saan yung bicycle. Kapag segregated siya, usually the value for bicycle is designated. Ibig sabihin may daanan siya sa sarili. If it's not separated, it's just yes. Okay? So, at sana sa Pilipinas, kung kayo ay biker or gumagamit kayo ng kick scooters or alternative mobility, ito yung desirable na configuration. Pero maraming ibang factors na magde-determine kung ano yung available sa city niyo or sa neighborhood niyo. Like, is there enough space on the road that can be made for shared use paths? So if you have that, this is how you map it in OpenStreetMap using these tags. And then we have, would anyone like to ask anything? Wala naman? Okay.
Wala
Then
naman,
we
sir.
have, okay, separated bike lanes. Ito yung madalas na nakikita natin sa Pilipinas. So ginamit ko yung photo nyo, kinuha ninyo sa Mandaue along Uwano Avenue to visualize what this road might look like. There's a separate sidewalk for pedestrians. There's a lane for cyclists along the road. It's on the road, no? Ibig sabihin, may kasama pa rin doon sa infrastructure ng kalsada. Tapos, ganito yung pwede nyo gawin na tags. So, ganyan yung ginagawa nyo so far. Hindi lang natin ginagamit dito ay kung ano ang standard width ng bike lanes. Ano sir ang ginagamit nyo sa Mandaue as width of bike lanes?
Yung width po, 1.5 na siguro.
1.5.
1.5. 1.5 po, sir.
Okay, so yun naman yung standard. So, kung gusto nyo ilagay yon, yung information na yon, pwede nyo gamitin yung tag na cycleway colon width and then add nyo 1.5. The default unit of measurement in OSM is usually metric. So, pwede nyo lang hindi ilagay yung M per meters. Pero kung gusto nyo ilagay, pwede rin. Para pagka ginamit nyo yung data sa GIS ninyo, mas marami kayong pwedeng i-visualize sa software niyo. Ang hindi ko pa napakita sa inyo before, yung paggamit ng itong cycleway colon right, tapos separation colon left is equal to bollard. Sa palagay nyo ba, naiintindihan nyo yung ibig sabihin itong tag na to? Cycleway colon right.
Parang programming talaga.
Actually, walang kinalaman yung programming. Ano lang to?
Yung codes po.
Parang if you want to add more details to your map, you have to create additional tags for it. But it's optional. Right now,
separation, bollard. Left equals bollard.
sir, nakuha nyo ba yung link nitong page na to na shinare ko dyan sa chat box? Oo.
Yes,
So, para makikita nyo.
Opo.
So, ang ibig sabihin lang nitong tag na to, your cycleway is on the right. There's a separator on the left of the cycleway. So, na ang value ay bollard. It could also be, for example, paint or buffered paint lines. But since you guys are using bollards, the appropriate value, at least for this example, is bollard.
Sir,
Okay,
question
but
lang.
this- Yes, sir. Go ahead,
Pag
sir.
yung paint lang po, instead of bollard, ilagay paint lang.
Yes, yes sir.
Kasi may mga bike
Paint.
lanes po na shared siya. Kaya hindi
Oo.
malagyan ng bollard kasi masyado maliit na kung lagyan pa ng bollard.
So paint na
Kaya
lang.
paint lang ang nilagay. Markings lang.
Yeah. So bali may ganun kayong separator, paint, pero kailangan nyo pa rin gamitin yung kung cycleway right is lane or left. Kasi yun yung main tag natin. And then one thing that you should note about the use of these, yung cycleway right, separation left, bollard, hindi pa siya nagre-render sa mapa. Ibig sabihin, yung lahat ng cycleways are still rendered blue dashed lines in Cyclomap. Pero it will not show whether it's using a bollard or a paint for now. Kasi hindi pa siya approved na tag. Sa OSM kasi may process of approving tags so that everyone will agree that okay, these tags are appropriate for this and everyone else will follow. But because OSM is a platform where anyone can actually invent their own tags if they want to, no one is stopping you. The problem with that is if everyone implements their own tag, there will be no single standard that you can use in a larger map, like in a global scale. So we go through the process of proposing tags or seeking the approval of the community if we want a new tag. So itong nasa huling tag na pinakita ko, ano ba yan siya? It's in the process of being discussed within the community. So once it gets approved, it's very likely, if it gets approved, it's very likely that other, kunyari, cyclomap will render the information differently. Parang makikita mo na kung, bollard pala yan. Or, physically protected pala yan. Katulad dun sa AC Cortez, nakita ko yung mga photos ninyo. You had low-rise jersey barriers na semento between bollards. So, pwede nyo i-indicate na ganon yung separator niyo. Parang, ano ba tawag nyo doon? Doon sa cement barriers na yun.
Ano po, concrete delineators.
Concrete delineator. Okay. So, kunyari yun yung tag. Kasi di ba dalawa? Concrete, tapos may plastic bollards pa rin.
Yeah, bollard din.
So, ang mangyari nun, instead of just bollards, you use a semicolon and then say concrete delineators para ma-capture yung information na yun.
Okay.
Okay, so ganun yung pwedeng gawin sa AC Cortez Avenue.
Sige po.
And then finally is according to the DPWH standard, there are also called shared roadways. What are shared roadways? These are basically roads without cycle lanes, but cycling is parang allowed. Well, cycling is most often allowed in most roads, no? Except that in the case of Class 3 roads sa OSM, kailangan may mga markings sa kalsada na nagsasabing or nagre-remind sa users na this is a shared road. So, para gamitin nyo itong ganitong klaseng tags, yung cycleway, column left or right is equal to shared lane, ang requirement ni OSM ay there should be sharrows or markings like this on the road itself. Pag wala, ang gagawin nyo lang ay lalagyan nyo lang ng bicycle is equal to yes. Kunyari, itong kalsada na to, highway, whatever kind of road is it, and then you put bicycle is equal to yes, meaning bikes are allowed. And then the rest of this document explains how the rest of the tags are used. Kailan ginagamit yung cycleway. So, ang importanteng concept dyan is that it is physically separated from the road. So kaya nung nakita ko yung unang gawaan yung sa Oano Avenue, sabi ko, hindi natin pwede gamitin yung highway is equal to cycleway kasi walang physical na separator, no? Um, the infrastructure is still on the road itself. So that's why we're using cycleway is equal to lane. Yung pangalawang option. So these are just the tags. Ayan, may typo pa ako. So let me just fix that. Tapos, kailan ba tayo nag-usap, Sir Eugene, about the highway, traffic signs?
Kailan nga ba yan? Nakalimutan ko na, sir.
Parang last week yata, sir, no? Pero hindi during a session. Yeah. So, kung interesado rin kayo, kasi nakita ko marami kayong in-install na traffic signs related to bike lanes. Nakita ko na lang ginawa ni Sir Eugene to, so I feel confident that Sir Eugene can teach you how. These are the tags that you will use for these bike signs. Bike lane na sign or bike lane ahead, bike lane ends, or share the road. Okay? So, hindi ko pa dinidiscuss dito yung lahat ng tags kasi sobrang dami yun. I'm only trying to focus first on those tags that you are likely to use while you're mapping the cycle lane networks. Of course, if you are interested in learning more about the tags or how to map anything else, you're always, I encourage you to visit the wiki page again of the OpenStreetMap so you can find out what are the common tags you can use. If you go to the wiki and search for Philippine Mapping Convention, yung nakalagay. Pag search kayo Philippine Mapping Convention. Wrong spelling. So Philippine Mapping So sa Pilipinas meron tayong mga nagmamapa sa Pilipinas sa iba't ibang areas. Dito dinodokumento yung mga madalas na tags na ginagamit sa Pilipinas. So for example, tanungin ko kayo, how would you tag a sari-sari store? Anyone? Ano sa palagay niyo yung tamang tag na gamitin para sa mga sari-sari store? Anong sagot? Anong sagot nyo?
No idea, sir.
No idea, okay. So kung hindi nyo alam, dito, we sometimes use the common local term. So I can say, for example, search for sari, ayun. Sari-sari store. Shop is equal to convenience pala. Yun. Or kunyari, bigasan, where you buy rice. You can tag it as shop is equal to rice. Okay? So tags tell OpenStreetMap, the system, how to interpret the elements. Yung elements natin again are lines, ways, or areas. Pagka nag-drawing lang tayo without adding a tag, it will not know what that element represents in the real world. So kailangan nating i-tag siya to describe what it is. Palengke. So ang palengke, including talipapa, are mapped as amenity is equal to marketplace. So pwede tayong mag-drawing ng node o tuldok, or pwede tayong mag-drawing ng area to represent a marketplace. So lahat or karamihan ng madalas gamitin na tag sa Pilipinas nandito. So pwede nyo bisitahin yung Philippine Mapping Convention page. I'm going to share the link in the chat box para magamit nyo. Kung interesado pa kayong magdagdag ng mga ibang information sa mapa. Nabanggit ni Sir Eugene or I think si Sir Marlo, na parang after the cycling lanes, ang interest nyo ay mamapa or ma-improve yung mapa ng mga DRR or evacuation center.
Yes,
So
sir.
kung interesado kayo sa evacuation center, paano yun imamapa? So tignan natin, let's search for evacuation. Ayun. Under the emergency and facility section, merong mga tags to indicate kung ano ang tamang ilagay. So, meron ba kayo sa Mandaue na mga dedicated evacuation shelters? Yung ang purpose lang noon ay evacuation lang talaga. Hindi siya multi-purpose. May ganun ba kayo?
Yes, sir. I guess so.
Okay, I guess so.
Yeah,
So pag
as
meron kayo noon, pwede yung itag yun na ganito, social facility is equal to social underscore facility is equal to shelter, tapos social underscore facility colon 4 is equal to displaced. Pag kunyari di ba marami tayong mga eskwela ginagamit na evacuation center, temporary evacuation centers. Kapag ganon, ang ginagamit natin itong mas mahabang tag na to, emergency colon social facility is equal to shelter. Ang pinagkaiba lang nito is the emergency prefix, emergency colon prefix. Otherwise, it's the same as the one above. Ang ibig sabihin nito sa mapa, on most days, on normal days, this facility is something else. It could be a school, it could be a church, it could be a sports center, your basketball court, your gymnasium. Pero during emergencies, they might be used as shelters. So kung naghahanap kayo ng ganun sa mapa, pwede nyo pa rin siyang makita, but it doesn't remove the primary function of the element. Kung kunyari, sports center siya on most days, on regular days, ayun pa rin yung nakalagay sa mapa. Pero nagkaroon ng emergency, at least alam nyo kung nasaan yung mga areas na yan that are identified as temporary shelters or emergency shelters. So, nandito. Ano pa yung mga pwede nyong imapa? Lahat ng nasa physical world ay actually pwedeng imapa. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, kung gusto nyo imapa yung lahat ng poste, may nagmamapa niyan. Pero basta kung nagtataka kayo, bakit kaya imapa yun? For example, kailangan nyo mag-inventaryo ng lahat ng utility poles na nandun sa area ninyo. Maaaring doon yung gamitin yung data. Pero kung hindi naman kayo interesado nun, perhaps other people are interested. So may mga nagdadagdag ng ganong klaseng information sa OpenStreetMap and they're not restricted. Ang kadalasang concern lang naman ng OSM users sa Pilipinas, well, globally, ay as long as you are not disclosing personal and private information, as long as you are not copying data from proprietary sources, ibig sabihin may copyright violation tayo or intellectual property rights violation. Basically, you can map anything. As a precaution, like when I got in touch with the CPDO, kapag hindi kayo sigurado sa license ng data ng gusto nyo idagdag sa OSM, you can always seek the permission of the owners, the data owners, or kung sino man yung custodian ng data. So when I asked, for example, I made a request for the bicycle lane network of Mandaue, humingi ako ng permiso from the CPDO to publish that data in OpenStreetMap. Pero apparently, since you guys are already mapping it yourselves, so kayo na mismo yung nagpa-publish ng data, yung permission na hiningi namin, hindi na applicable kasi kayo na yung gumagamit. Pero it's always nice to have that waiver or letter to to show other people that in case they ask, you have the permission to publish that information. So please go through the mapping convention page of the Philippines if you want to find out how to map other stuff in OpenStreetMap. So are there any more questions?
So far,
Like,
sir, wala.
how do I map this or that?
Hello, sir.
Wala.
Hello, sir. Hello, Sir Erwin.
It's already 4 o'clock.
Medyo choppy po kayo, sir.
Hello? Are you guys still there? Parang wala. Hindi ko kayo marinig.
Yes, sir. Medyo putol-putol lang po ng konti. Hello, sir. Hello? Hello? Ay, naputol si sir.
Gina.
Sorry, maingay ah. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, naghang yung computer ko. So I have to switch.
It's okay, ma'am.
Do you have any more questions before we end the session for today? Are there any particular topics or examples you want me to show na confusing pa?
Yeah, medyo yung sa codes lang, sir. Konti. But we can go through it again because recorded naman tong session natin. So we'll just go through it again.
Yeah.
And
So
yes,
talagang mahirap i-memorize yung tags. Hindi ko rin, just so you know, hindi ko rin memorize ang lahat. Yung mga familiar lang ako. So yung wiki page ni OSM is a very good resource for finding out the correct tag to use. And then, since I think most of you are users of Facebook, pwede rin kayong maghanap ng OSM Philippines page. Pwede kayong magtanong sa mga kasama natin nagmamapa sa OSM if you have more questions. But if you have questions that you want to direct to me, okay lang na i-email niyo ako if there's you have questions about that.
sige po. Can we tapos na po ba tayo?
May gusto ba, parang yun lang muna yung sinet aside kong topics for today. But if you have any more questions, we're actually done na.
Okay. Sige po. Can we request for groupie?
Okay, sandali. Kailangan talaga ng groupie,
Yeah, kasi for documentation purposes, palilang tagtawag ni Sir JT. Para nandyan pa po ba kayo, Sir Erwin?
Yeah, hello. Kita niyo, andito pa ako, kita niyo na ako.
Yeah. Kita po.
Okay.
Hintayin lang po natin si Sir JP sandali, sir. Nasa baba lang.
Okay. Sige. So mukhang everyone is, yung iba nasa bahay ba? Ilan kayo naka-remote ngayon?
Yes, sir. Naka-remote is 2, 3, 4 yata. Out of 10.
Okay. Sige, ayan, bigyan dumami.
5. Okay. Dali po, sir, ha. Sige, mag-type lang ako. Mag-type lang ako sandali.
Okay, sige. Pagka ready na, sabihin mo lang.
Sige po. Okay.
So wala bang questions from the rest of the participants? Parang si Sir Eugene lang yung kausap ko eh. Habang hinihintay natin si Sir JP.
Dito na, sir. Dito na. Sige. Ma'am Sheldon, can you turn on your camera, please? Asa si Ma'am Sheldon? Asa man eh? Sir Paulo. Liyog lang. Turn off na lang. Sige. Ayun. Asa si Ma'am Sheldon may nawala. Sandali po, sir, ha?
Okay lang.
Ayun.
Wala.
Ay. Okay, again. Asa man eh?
Ma'am Cecil na, sir.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Sige lang, okay lang na. Again, 1, 2, 3. Kadit lang. Lang, sir. Okay.
So, ingat kayo dyan. I hope to
Yes,
see you
sir.
again next session, kung kailan man yun.
Okay po. I'll just keep in touch with you, Sir Erwin. Anyway, kita pa tayo bukas yata.
Yes, sir. I hope si Miss Cha will also join the meeting tomorrow.
Yes, sir. I guess kailangan siya kisa sa akin.
Pero sir, for CPDO, I am hoping that we will be explaining or at least share what you guys have been doing with OSM for the past few weeks para alam
Sige
nung
po.
community.
Sige po. Anyway, mga... Sige po. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, sir. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night.